I'm Kendra Wilson. I've been at the PD for 11 years. I started in the jail, then went to patrol, did 3 years in CID primarily as a family violence investigator, and then I promoted in 2018, and I've been in patrol ever since. So I was on patrol at the time. I'd been on the street about 2 years, and we got dispatched to a emergency room. We had a male victim who it looked like somebody had pulled him out of his driver's side window while he was at a red light and hit him over the head with a beer bottle. And after speaking to him, we found out that the suspect was the ex-boyfriend who shared a child with one of his coworkers at one of our fast food restaurants. And so the couple was estranged. They weren't together anymore, but the guy had apparently been watching her and saw her talking to her coworker in the parking lot and drew a bunch of conclusions in his head, assumed that they were sleeping together. And so when the victim left and came to a stop at the red light, he followed him on his motorcycle, jumped off his motorcycle, tried to pull him out of his driver's side window and hit him over the head with the beer bottle. So we didn't arrest him. He wasn't on scene, but we took our report. And then as a patrol officer, you don't usually get to follow up with your calls. So I kind of forgot about it until 18-ish months later. I was in CID working family violence investigations and got an additional report. The names kind of sounded familiar. A female was driving and her baby daddy was following her. And she had the child in the car and he was blowing up her phone, screaming at her, making all these wild accusations. And she called her dad and said, I'm around the corner. He's behind me. Unlock the front door. We're going to come in, call the police. So she pulls up in the driveway, gets the baby out of the car, runs in the house. They're able to lock themselves in the back bedroom. And he runs up to the door and starts kicking the door. They call the police. We come and ultimately are able to arrest him. And after talking to the victim, I learned that this has been a 3 or 4 year ordeal, basically, ever since they had the baby together. They had broke up their relationship, but he wasn't happy with that. And so he's been essentially stalking her. She had numerous harassment complaints with the department when he had broken into her apartment, destroyed property, slashed her tires, the very definition of harassment. And so ultimately what we were able to do was compile all of these instances and put them into one stalking charge that was ultimately prosecuted by the district attorney's office. And so he's currently incarcerated on the stalking charge. And at the same time he was convicted on the stalking, he was also convicted on that prior ag assault with a deadly weapon charge, but it was all kind of encapsulated in the family violence incident. One of the reasons I wanted to get into family violence was because of the victim aspect of it, and a lot of what the media pushes and what we talk about are those victims and understanding the psychology of why they don't leave. And this was kind of opposite of that when this girl was doing absolutely everything that she was being asked to do. She was doing everything right. She was cooperating with law enforcement. She was separating herself from him. She was using the court system and getting protective orders and things of that nature. And it just was never enough. And so we were constantly intervening, which was her only safeguard. And so it resonated with me in a sense that, like, my daughters thinking about when they start dating and choosing boyfriends is, you never know. You can do everything right, and there are still those people out there who are going to put you in that compromising position. So that's always kind of set with me, as she's one of the victims that when I look back at my time in criminal investigations and patrol, that everything we asked her, she was doing right. We tell them, you need to go to shelter, done that. You need to let your family know, check. Go get a protective order, already been done. And she was on top of it, and he just kept coming back and kept coming back. What bothered me about that one specifically is the manipulation that he used the child. When he was in county on the stalking charges, he continued to, he wasn't in county for 2 hours, and he was calling her and calling her mom and using the child as a tool to get the attention. You're going to keep my daughter from me. You're going to have to answer for taking her daddy away. And so eventually, you do that enough and you whittle them down. Okay, I'll talk to you, but only about our daughter. And then the second that hooks in, he's going to use that open door to, again, begin the harassment and just the cycle. It infuriates me when children are used as pawns in that situation, because as a mom, what do? You're going to bring up my kid, then that changes the game a little bit, and I'll sacrifice a little bit of my safety to make my child happy and make their life easier. And so that was a big component in this and her. But I still think she handled it as well as she could have for what was going on. I think the biggest thing for me is that it's never an isolated incident. So today it may be a verbal argument or the destruction of property or something small. I think it's important to have those more in-depth conversations, and every contact that we have with people in that position, take that opportunity to pull them out and make sure there's nothing more that they need to tell you. And so I think when we get called, whether it's big or small, that's our opportunity to intervene. And it may be something smaller, it may be an opportunity to learn something that we can help out bigger. And so that's how I try to look at it when we're in those positions. You have this opportunity to have FaceTime with that person and have a conversation. Take advantage of it. Don't just ask the questions related to why we're there, but ask the bigger questions. Just like you with the child in a situation that it seems like more is going on. Take that chance and that conversation to figure out the whole picture and not just that isolated incident.